Quick story for y'all right here before I get into the lesson. This is Fade to Black by Metallica, my favorite Metallica song of all time. I really loved the Ride the Lightning album a lot. When I was about maybe 15, 16, we got into that super hardcore. Some amazing stuff. Okay, so it always left an impression on me. So there was one time in the 90s where I was in San Francisco on Haight Street. I was like jamming, trying to start a band there, hanging out with a friend. There was a big concert in the park, in Golden Gate Park, and it was the Tibetan Freedom Concert. And I think this must have been like 96 or 97 or something. So I was playing on the street. I was moving my gear from I had a pig nose amp hidden in a backpack, which you couldn't really be electric on the street there. And so people, depending on where you were in California, trying to play on the street and make some money and tips and stuff, you would have to hide any kind of electrified kind of things, right? Because it was supposed to be just strictly like acoustic. And so I didn't have much going on as far as singing. And so I couldn't, my finger picking was kind of my best attribute that I could draw attention with. And so I would be finger picking, but I didn't, it didn't travel far enough. So I would have this little pig nose and I would have an acoustic electric and kind of slide, no one really see that I'm plugged in, and I have a little hidden back there. I had a little volume knob on there so I could kind of crank it up, and when it was a little louder, I could be a little louder too to compete with the street noise. But then there was a guy that came up who was also a street performer who was like, hey, I know you got something hidden in that backpack. So there was all kind of drama with that too. But this one particular weekend, I digress, but this one particular weekend, there's all these people in town. I feel like Chris Robinson and Rich Robinson, the Black Crowes and stuff were walking down the street. I think they were playing the concert. I think Beastie Boys were playing the concert. A lot of people, Chili Peppers and stuff. I was walking down the street at one point. I happened to see a guy walk out of a place, and he was trying to use his cell phone. And this is, 90s, like cell phone, I don't know, reception, it was all kind of new and everything. So he's trying to use this phone. It was Kirk Hammett from Metallica. So I saw him and I was just like, oh, I have to do this, right? So I just set up my little gear in the corner. I sat in the corner on the street there. He was outside of this club or something trying to get reception. And I went and sat in the corner and I plugged my shit in and I started going. And he heard it and he turned around and he goes, funny guy. I was like, I got you. All right. So that's my cool Kirk Hammett story. Anyway, so Fade to Black. This is my favorite of all time. Let's check out this intro we got. Okay, so that's your main part. You got you got the B note on the 5th string. You got 2-4, open 4, going down the strings and back there. And then you go 2-4, 5-4, and then we go to the open A string. We do the same picking. Go back to the B. Now here we have the 4-2-2-2. It's like an A with a C sharp bass. Then we go 4-2, open 2. Okay, so that's the whole intro as far as this guitar part. Okay, and it does that a lot of times under Kirk Hammett's lead, and then it ends up going. Okay, so that was 1-3 open on the big 3 strings, and then 1 again, that F bass, to 4-2-2 to the 4, and then down here we're on an E chord, starting on the 5th string, 2-2-1, and then 2-2-1 open 3, makes it like an E7 there at the end, and then we're into that. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to the steel string for that one because that's what I believe they did. So we're getting into an A right here. Let's take a look at what we had so far. Okay. Okay, so that was the main part that goes a bunch of times. Kirk's solo happens, and then we have this. Okay, and then we're gonna go to the A minor, and we're doing James Hetfield's parts at this point. All All right, so we're moving on into the steel string part now in A minor. We got okay, so let's break that down. We got A minor, kind of raking up the strings. We're going to hammer on, open to 1 on the 2nd string, going down a couple strings to the little 1, 2 on the D string, hammer on, open to 2 on the G to the 1 on the 2nd string. So we got. Now we're going to hit the lower 3 strings of a C chord, the 3, 2, and open. So we got. We got the 1, 2, open to the 2 there, then hammer again, but now we're going to go open on the 2nd string. So we got. Now we're going to hit the G bass with the D string and the B string. 3 on the 2nd string, D bass, little 3. So let's look at all that. Then we're going to have D bass again, and then 2 open on the G. Now we're going to have E bass, got to kind of mute everything. So we just hear the E bass and the G, and then 2, 2 on the D and the A. Last thing is open G and B, slide the 2 and 1 into the 4 and 3. So we got. E and G strings, 2, 2. Okay, and then it all starts over. So yeah, you got. Kind of go to an E minor chord there too, like. And I used to do it like, kind of like I don't know if this was ever correct, but that's how I used to do it for years and years. Kind of hammer in that 2 and 1, and then you'd hit those opens on the 2nd and 3rd string with the E bass, and then your 2, 2. So that's how I used to always do that one. But looking at new tabs and stuff, you kind of learn new things, and it sounds pretty authentic to how they got it a lot of times. I suggest Songster is pretty good for tabs and stuff these days. So anyway. Okay, and then we're moving on to the heavy parts.